Well, here we are. It's a fun week. Conference finals for NHL and NBA have kicked off. And right here in our backyard is the PGA Championship. And on top of it, the Amherst are going to the conference finals. So big, weeks coming up here as we hit episode 105. And of course, I'm going to let Jason start in a moment, but we do want to apologize for not having a show last week. Both of us were just so busy, and it got down to Saturday night. I'm too tired to do. I mean, I would have been sleeping over the mic midway through because I was just too beat to do it. So, right. And he had to work early. I had to work early, so we're like, forget it. It's just not going to happen. But we still have a good show. I am wearing my Syracuse stuff. I'll explain why later in the show, but I got to let Jason start it off here with some NBA stuff.
Yeah, I mean, these two takeaways, the first two were actually going to be ones I was originally going to talk about last week, but I'm going to do it this week instead. So, Warriors had a great playoff run with Steve Kerr, undefeated. We're not losing playoff victories. The only real loss that they had was in the 2016 NBA Finals, but they took their first playoff loss under Steve Kerr in 20 tries. That's one insane mark. Steve Kerr has been one hell of a head coach for the Golden State Warriors. Honestly, we talked about it. Golden State, who I think last season was a play-in team. I think, if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure they were a play-in team that made it all the way to the finals and won it. Man, I tell you, Brian, these play-in teams might not be somebody to take lightly, especially since, speaking of conference finals, two play-in teams are in the Western and Eastern Conference, and being the Los Angeles Lakers and the Miami Heat.
See,
even though the Lakers right now are down 2-0, and we've seen too much basketball to know that it don't mean anything.
Mm-hmm. And hockey and baseball. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't mean anything in series, best of 7 series, but
no, it does not.
I will say, play-in teams, yeah, they're competitive. Should they be play-in teams? No. Again, my opinion on the play-in tournament, that I think it's a waste of time.
I do, and you're right. Because I'm pretty sure the Miami Heat had to fight hard to even get into the finals, but honestly, I think they're the biggest underdog of the playoffs. Because if they somehow can do it, if they could somehow knock off the best team in the NBA, and I say that, I mean that. I'm sorry, Milwaukee Bucks, but you were the best team in the NBA, but you got knocked out pretty early by the Miami Heat. So, I don't think you were the best team if you get knocked out quick by an 8 seed. But no, Boston Celtics definitely, I think, are the best team. Can they get bested by the Miami Heat? I think so. I mean, I think that Celtics have a great team, but right now, Heat are just got it all together, and there's just something about Eric Spoelstra that just knows how to put a team together, even though you have a lot of undrafted players. I think they got like 7 undrafted players that they're playing, and they got one no Tyler Hero and no Victor Oladipo either.
Yeah. Well, what I will say is Eric Spoelstra, I've said for years, is one of the best coaches in the league. And I'm probably going to upset a lot of Spurs fans when I say this, and a lot of NBA fans in general. I think he's a better coach than Greg Popovich right now, to be honest.
Oh, I forgot. I should have talked about that. I might actually talk about that too. Speaking of the Spurs and Greg Popovich. The Spurs actually get the number 1 pick, and that's pretty much confirmed that they're going to get Victor Wembanyama, the center out of Metropolitan 92s. He's from France. It's overseas team. So safe to say that he's going to be the number 1 pick in the upcoming draft after the NBA Finals. So, do I think that he can be somebody that can turn around the Spurs? Probably.
I mean, know what Greg Popovich can do with good big men. Just saying. Robinson, Duncan.
I was going to say, of all the big-time draft picks that he's chosen, look at David Robinson, Tim Duncan, now Victor. I mean, I think that maybe if you can put together a great young squad, maybe the Spurs can somehow turn around. But honestly, their luck right now doesn't look like it's very promising. So, but speaking of that, I'm just grateful that the Mavericks get a pick. As long as they fell in top 10, they were going to get a pick. If it fell out of the top 10, it would have gone to the New York Knicks, part of the Kristaps Porzingis trade. But Dallas will have a pick this year. So it gets into my second takeaway here. But with the Golden State Warriors, great run, but you know what they say, great runs always are meant to be broken, and Golden State Warriors, nice undefeated run in the playoffs with winning series has come to an end. They are 19-1 now instead of 20-0. So the Phoenix Suns, as we know, traded for Kevin Durant to make a new big three with Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant. Kind of like a big four, if you want to call it. I mean, they also have the big old center there, but it didn't look very promising as they got beat by 25 plus points for the second year in a row in the second round. Even when having a true player in Kevin Durant, a lot of people will know that last year they lost by 35 points in Game 7 to the Dallas Mavericks. Yes, the Dallas Mavericks, a team that didn't make the playoffs at all this year. It doesn't look very good for the Suns, as now they're looking to even ship Chris Paul during the offseason, and possibly could be getting rid of their center too, where he could have played his last game with the Suns. I don't know what to think about this. The Suns keep on putting together the good pieces, but they just can't get out of their own way. Ever since making the finals in 21, they haven't made it back. They've lost 2 years in a row in the second round by 25 plus points. So it's not like they're just getting beat by like a couple points. They're getting spanked in the games that matter the most to move on to the next round. If I'm the Suns, would I hit the panic button?
I think they get the panic button and the recliner chair confused when it comes to elimination games. Okay, but firing Monty Williams was a big step. They're likely not going to keep Chris Paul, so I think this is really their last run at it. Of course, James Harden's rumored to go there, but Chris Paul is now rumored to go to the Lakers this offseason to join LeBron for a chance at a ring. I mean, I think, that window's just closed. I don't think, we got to talk panicking. I think we got to talk the window's closed for the Suns now.
Yeah. Which is sad, because if they somehow do get rid of Kevin Durant and Chris Paul, then you're kind of going back to where it was with, before you got Chris Paul. It's going to be the same old Suns story where Devin Booker is going to carry that team and you're not even going to make playoffs. So Yeah, I would say that the door's definitely closed for the Suns. Their best opportunity was um the time where they went up against the Bucks and the Bucks won the championship. So that was their best opportunity to win it all, but unfortunately they fell short. This Suns team, I don't know what's going on. Like they have the pieces and they have the team, and I think they have a great starting rotation and a great bench. But the problem is that it's just not showcasing when it matters most. And I just think that it's time for the Suns to reevaluate the team and might have to bring in some more defensive weapons. And getting rid of a guy like Mikal Bridges, I think that was the wrong move, to be honest with you. Because you get rid of a guy like that, he goes to the New York, the Brooklyn Nets, and somehow becomes a star over there. So it just, I don't know. So this one actually just came out. I saw the NBA is considering changing the All-Star game format back to the original format where it's East versus West.
Well, they change the format every 3 years, so I'm not shocked.
Yeah, it's kind of about time to bring it back to the way it was. Because I sorry about the player draft, but I think that's the stupidest format you came up with. Then you have it where, oh, now you gotta score a certain amount of points in the fourth quarter, and there's no time. There's just a shot clock. There's no running clock at all. You just gotta get up to a certain point, and then that ends the game. Like,
see, that's
the
what
way that I think you can make this game go a little bit quicker is you should do 10-minute quarters, or maybe even 8. Let's do 8-minute quarters. Make the game go a little bit faster, so it's not high scoring. Or 10.
Or bring the shot clock down to 15 seconds. How's about that?
Yeah, why not?
You know what?
Make the shot clock a little bit faster, where they have to maybe start running some plays. But the problem is they're gonna just alley dunk it anyway. So regardless of what happens, it's not like it's gonna really matter.
But going back to
you can simply do is just scrap the game altogether, because clearly the players don't give a crap about playing it in the first place.
Just better yet, going back to what you said about the Elam ending, and I will say this, that the Elam ending works for the basketball tournament in the summer, TBT, because that's what started it all, okay? That's how their league is, that's how they want to run their league. That's different, okay? The NBA should stop trying to make these gimmicks, trying to get viewership, because their viewership is just going down because these gimmicks are just getting dumber and dumber every single year. Okay, the play-in tournament, the mid-season tournament. Like, quit it with the gimmicks. Just play your 82 games, put your 16 teams in the playoffs, and leave it alone. Stop changing it to make it some sort of gimmick to draw drama. It works for 1 year, and then it just completely plateaus after that.
Yeah, Adam Silver, I will admit, has done way too much as a commissioner to try to change and bring new aspects to the NBA. There was a main reason why David Stern didn't change anything, because he knew if it's not broke, don't fix it.
And rest in peace to him, but he knew, everybody hated him, but he didn't have to do stupid gimmicks to draw viewership.
Right, exactly. Adam Silver is trying too much, and I think that's what's ruining the NBA. Same thing with,
Well, see, that's the reason why people like me won't watch the NBA anymore, because I got sick of the gimmicks, the super teams, and all that. That's why there's people out there like me that believe that the real basketball is played at this level.
You really want the NBA to be better? Do what the NFL does and have a hard cap.
Yeah. You want
hard cap salary, then you don't have to worry about these super teams unless they somehow, cut your contracts in half, which will never happen because you got these superstars running around thinking that they're worth $50 million, $60 million a freaking year.
Yeah.
So
just go back. Here's the thing. Stop trying to be what March Madness is. That's what I don't get. They're trying so hard to be what NCAA basketball is, and they're never going to beat them in the ratings because there's always going to be, these mid-tournament matchups that are just going to obliterate the NBA in ratings because, it's a Cinderella team that's really good versus a Power 5 that's the team to beat in the tournament. Okay? There's always going to be that rogue NCAA tournament game that just shatters the NBA, and it's just bound to happen. Okay? The NBA should go back to the stuff that worked for them before the rumors of Dana White or Liberty Media pop up about them buying the league out.
I mean, shoot. UFC and WWE are pretty much, one and the same now. Mm-hmm. So, who knows?
I'm saying that's why F1 got bought by Liberty Media. Stupid, bullshit there. And then that's also why Dana White bought the WWE because of all the stupid gimmicks and losing ratings and shit, right?
It was the company that owns UFC that also bought the WWE. So kind of like Dana White is sort of running both. Like he's like a president or something like that. I don't know. It's a lot to explain. If you want to really truly learn about it, go back and watch one of my No Final Bell episodes where I talk about it. It was like a lot that was going on with it. I know WWE. I know Vince is still the chairman of the WWE and whatnot. But honestly, the NBA just I still watch it because it's still like an alternative when NFL is done with their season in February.
But it's getting to the point
for me to watch, but it gets a little much. Like I'll follow my team. I really won't watch too many of the games. But
the only thing I think that keeps the NBA even remotely afloat is inside the NBA. I'd have to believe that's the only thing that remotely keeps it afloat.
Probably.
Okay. Because inside the NBA always does this fun stuff, talks about the game. Because they're established, they're a great team. And then, you look at ESPN who has the rotating door of analysts because they just can't keep up in the ratings. It'll be interesting when that new TV deal comes out because obviously there's rumors of NBC wanting back in. I heard rumors that TNT could potentially get the NBA Finals on a rotation, which would be good for the league because everybody loves watching TNT. So,
right.
But they got to cut it with that stupid gimmick stuff, like, playing tournaments and all that.
But other than that, that is all said and done with my takeaways, so I am going to send it over to Brian.
All right. Well, we start with the Steelers, and one, I thought he was already signed to at least a 2-year deal, but apparently he was not. Mitchell Trubisky will stay with the Steelers on a 3-year deal now, which will essentially keep him throughout the rest of Kenny Pickett's rookie contract. I have to believe that this is just for the veteran presence that Kenny Pickett could have. I don't know what Mitchell Trubisky has to offer that would help him remotely, but I mean, Mike Tomlin must know something more than we know.
He wants to really have Mitchell Trubisky teach him how to throw interceptions. Maybe that's why you keep Kenny Pickett with Mitchell Trubisky. Of course, joking. Jokes aside, probably is a veteran presence. Somebody that can still keep Kenny Pickett honest, somebody that can probably still compete with Kenny Pickett. Because, I mean, even though, yeah, Kenny Pickett is probably your starter heading into the season, I still think that maybe Trubisky can still keep Kenny Pickett on his feet. I'm hoping that, Kenny Pickett can be what the Steelers really want him to be and lead them into the future. But Mitchell Trubisky is also a proven starter. He's been there before. He's won, games as a starter. He's played in the playoffs as a starter. So
I don't know. See,
we'll see what happens. I mean, they got Allen Robinson now, George Pickens, and Deontay Johnson. So it'll be interesting to see what that receiving core is going to be heading into the season. But it just doesn't look very promising for the Steelers.
But you got to wonder where the expectations are for Kenny Pickett. Of course, we've seen all these massive year 2 leaps. Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes. I don't really count Joe Burrow in that because Joe Burrow was out for his whole rookie year. But, Mahomes, Allen didn't really have a year 2 jump either. But, Herbert, Mahomes, Trevor Lawrence.
Still did enough to help the Bills get into the playoffs that year, even though they lost in the wild card.
Yeah, but you got to feel like the expectation is going to be really high for Kenny Pickett this year based on at least 3 of those quarterbacks having significant year 2 leaps. So, adding Allen Robinson, it's got to be, to me, a big leap for him.
I would think if anybody, look at another year 2 leap, Trevor Lawrence.
That's what I said, Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, last year was definitely a big step forward for him. So if Kenny Pickett can definitely be part of that group, that'd be cool to see. I think that he's got the ability to be a great quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, but I just need to see more progression, more out of him. I think that his passing needs to be a little bit more consistent. A little bit, I need to see more of that arm out of him. Somebody connect with his receivers a little bit more. I think with having a guy like Robinson, if you can have Robinson back to form like where he was in Chicago, I think that it can be a great year for the Steelers. But if you get Allen Robinson like he was last year, I just don't think you're gonna be all that successful with just having Deontay Johnson as your main receiver. Personally, I think the Steelers might still miss out on playoffs. They'll probably be better than what they were, but it doesn't look very promising for them.
They're in the wrong conference to try to grow from last year. So it's, I feel like they're going to do decent. But again, we're still a ways away from the season. I can tell you, we looked at tickets for a Steelers game, and unfortunately, I think we're passing on it because we've already got another trip booked. So, but that would have been a cool experience. Maybe next year we'll go to Heinz Field or something.
I was really hoping, Buffalo was playing in Pittsburgh for a preseason game, and unfortunately, the day that they're playing in Pittsburgh, I think it's August 16th or something like that. Fortunately, I'm going to a concert. It would have been cool because, even though, because tickets would be $20 per.
I think you and I were looking at the Browns and I think another team going there, the Titans maybe. But we were looking at those games, just didn't pan out, unfortunately. So, unfortunate. But I do want to go on to my second point. We got to talk about the Knights versus the Stars, and then, of course, you got the Canes versus the Panthers in the NHL Conference Finals. And I have to say the Canes and the Knights really seem like the best remaining teams right now. The Stars obviously are really good, and I wouldn't even put it past them to get to the finals once again. But man, the Panthers, though, in that first game, if this is an indicator to how this series is going to go, I think it's going to be a 7-game series as of right now. The Panthers won in 4 overtimes on Thursday night to take game 1. So,
it's crazy.
Yeah, they of course would have won it a few overtimes prior. However, it got called back for goalie interference. So, man, see, my Lightning have been out for a few rounds, so I haven't paid attention. And then I hear a 4 overtime game and damn, now you piqued my interest to tune back in. Of course, we're more focused, at least I am, on the AHL side because the Rochester Amherst.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's kind of crazy. Is there, 4 rounds they have to go through just to get to the Calder Cup finals? Because it says now they're in the Eastern Conference Finals. I was like, wait, what? 4 rounds you have to go through just to get to it?
It seems like it. However, I will say the AHL is doing something that I think the NBA and the NHL should adopt. And that is the best of 5 series until you get to the conference finals. Now, again, you're probably not going to like hearing that, but let's look at, like I said, this isn't me saying, I just want to speed it up so we get this shit done and over with. No. Okay, I say do the best of 3 in the first round, the best of 5 in the second round, best of 7 in the conference finals and the NBA finals. Now, again,
it would speed it up in a sense if you think about it. But it would be a lot more competitive too.
But I'm not saying this to, be like, I just want to get this shit over with. I've had enough watching the NBA and this has nothing to do with that. My thing is the attention span, you notice, has gone really far down in the last few years. The level of patience has gone well down. Okay, so I feel to combat that, because, like I said, if you don't pique somebody's interest right away, they're not interested.
Right.
Okay, it's safe to say. Okay, if I'm looking up, you see me looking at my phone quite a bit, but if I were to look up from my phone and see it's a 20-point blowout in game 2 of 7, we know where this series is going, it might make me decide I don't want to watch it anymore. Okay? But you have a first-round game where it's like, oh, man, Golden State just went up 1-0 on, the Portland Trail Blazers. Now how's Damian going to respond in the next game? And then the next game you could have Damian Lillard go off and blow the Warriors out by 20, and then you have a Game 3 situation.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. It would make it a lot more competitive in a sense like that, because I feel like maybe you're right. Maybe the NBA should adopt something like that, because...
Yeah. And the NHL.
Right.
Okay, baseball already does that. And see, baseball to me is adopting more to the lower attention span than the NBA and the NHL are.
I mean, shoot, they already have a pitch clock.
Yeah, the pitch clock. Yeah. The wild card series is the best of 3. The divisional is the best of 5. And then the AL, NL championships and the World Series are 7 games. Okay, so they're capturing the attention much earlier on, which is what the NBA and the NHL should be doing.
I just don't think it'll change, only because of just tradition, honestly, and it's just been like that for years.
I know, but I gotta put it out there. At least to pitch the idea, maybe some executive is watching, or someone with that power is watching.
If the commissioner was to think that, this is such a great idea, then the the owners have to vote on it. The players have to vote on it. It becomes too much of a hassle.
I feel like you wouldn't have an issue getting support from the players. I feel like you wouldn't. Okay, especially if you get a team that's gone 2 straight years, because you saw what happened to the Lightning last year. The Lightning were fatigued by the end of 2 finals appearances. You know, I bet LeBron would have been like, damn, I wish I had this when I went on my, like, 5 or 6 straight finals appearance, you know, streak there. Right. But, you know,
I think again, it was like 8, but close enough.
Going back to the NHL, though, I got to say, I got to go Knights and Canes. I think those 2 teams are going to advance to the Stanley Cup Finals.
See the Golden Knights in the finals, and but it would also be cool to see the Dallas Stars getting in there too. So who knows?
Yeah, we will.
I have some family that live in Dallas. They're Stars fans, so it'd be cool to see them get there and somehow win it. But we'll see.
They are not welcome to watch this show. I'm just kidding. All right. I don't normally talk PGA on this show, mostly because if I'm going to talk golf, I'd rather talk my own golf game. And spoiler alert, it's fucking trash, okay?
You mean the non-existent game that you have?
Yeah, pretty much. So, but I do want to talk about this because I'd mentioned at the beginning of the show, this is in our backyard right now, okay? The PGA Championship is in our backyard. It's in Pittsford, New York, literally 20 minutes from where we live. And Scotty Scheffler right now is currently the leader as of Friday. I believe it's Sean Connors and then Hovland. They are all in a 3-way tie for the lead in the PGA Championship over on the other end of the city at Oak Hill Country Club. Man, we have been graced by a lot of celebrity presences. Of course, we knew Josh Allen was probably going to be there because it's only an hour drive for him. But then, of course, you've got, I heard today, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes flew in from their respective cities to come watch it. Jim Boeheim drove in from Syracuse to come see the PGA Championship. And then a few interesting notes. So the best part for me is I get the chance to drive not just past the Rock Airport, but around where the PGA, I sort of turn away from where the PGA Championship is going. So anything in the air at the PGA Championship, I'm going to see. Now, on the way home from the airport, the New England Patriot plane was in the Rochester airport. So you got to imagine Rob Kraft or Bill Belichick or someone big from the New England Patriots is here to see the game or to see the match. And then I'm going to share this photo. I shared it with Jason before the show. But yeah, there's the Goodyear blimp if you're watching on YouTube. The Goodyear blimp is also here in the Rochester area. So, man, it's just nice to have our city on the map, right?
Yeah, for once.
Yeah. So
in the good way, not a bad way.
Oh my gosh, yeah. If you ever, for those who are here watching the PGA Championship and might be listening to our show, first off, welcome. Second off, lock your damn cars. Okay. So, yeah, it's been a rough go. Unfortunately, around here the last few years, really since COVID, it's gone like downhill here in this city. Yeah. So, I mean, it was downhill to begin with, but it's gotten worse. So, but it's good to see a positive spin for once. And I'm not sure if you heard about this story, but one guy, I guess one spectator got hit in the thigh or in the calf with a golf ball in the first round. Crazy. One of the golfers went up after, to check to see if he's okay. Saw that he had beer and he's like, how much does beer run you here? he's like, oh, about $17. Just get me a beer and just take a picture. We're all good. One of the golfer that hit him hands him $100 and says, "Here, I got your beer for the rest of the tournament."
Holy crap, that's crazy.
Fuck. Jason, we should have gone to the PGA Championship.
Yeah, right?
I would just stand there as a moving target right now. But I will tell you, man, if it wasn't just for that experience, I wish we kind of had media access so that way we could do our show from Oak Hill. But
I know, it's cool.
Unfortunately, we're not that popular. We're not that big, so maybe in 10, 12 years, if the PGA ever comes back, or hopefully sooner, maybe we'll be a little bit bigger. Maybe we'll get a little bit of a say and get to do it. Maybe even outside the country club before security comes on their golf carts and runs us over.
Yeah, right.
So, but yeah, so again, I'll show you guys the image. Yeah, that's the Goodyear blimp that was on my drive home the other day. So, just amazing, to say the least. Things I never thought I'd see in my life because, of course, the Goodyear blimp really doesn't show up to anything anymore.
It does not.
Yeah, so... Well, we got to turn from the positive to the negative, and I don't like doing that, but Jim Brown, unfortunately, has passed away on Friday at 87. Jim Brown, of course, former SU running back, the original 44, I believe, went on to play for the Cleveland Browns, 12,312 rushing yards in his career, 11th of all time. Regarded as the best running back in NFL history. Also was a big civil rights activist, was big for young black men in the Cleveland and Ohio areas, getting them into sports. I know LeBron said that was his idol growing up. Also was a film actor. So, just unfortunate we lost a guy like Jim Brown.
Yeah, it is sad. But he's done a lot in his career. He's done a lot outside of his career. It's sad to see him pass, but at least he has a great career and a great legacy to put behind him, and that's what we can really remember him as.
So yeah. But I will say another thing that kind of caught my eye. I was watching Nightly News before we taped this. In case you didn't know, of course, for those who don't know, Muhammad Ali was drafted into the Vietnam War, or one of the wars in the 1960s, refused to go, and of course got imprisoned for it. Jim Brown was a big supporter of Muhammad Ali during that movement. Said that he shouldn't have to go to war. And, just the things in general Jim Brown has done, not just in football, but outside of football. And just reading these statements, I'm telling you, history classes should be teaching about Jim Brown. That's my vote.
I agree.
Hey, history classes, your phys ed class, because now we have a generation that won't get to know what Jim Brown has done for young black athletes. Especially, like I said, it should be talked about, ultimately. So.
It should be, at least in gym class or something like that, or history, yeah. But
preferably both.
But history classes really don't talk a lot about,
unless you take sports history in college. Which, by the way, I averaged a 90 in that class the entire semester. But I'll stop bragging. So, but I will say it's a fun class. So anyone who knows me knows my opinions on college. I won't say them here. But, You know, if you get a chance, if you go to college and you're looking for an elective to take, sports history is not a bad one to take. So with that, we'll go into Tinkle on this, and we got to start with Tom Kim, of course. I wanted to keep it here in Rochester because of the PGA Championship. Tom Kim hits a golf ball into the mud. Of course, it was a muddy Thursday at Oak Hill Country Club. So he loses his ball in the mud. Instead of, taking the extra stroke there, he goes into the mud, ends up sinking into it, but gets his golf ball. That's the important thing. He gets his golf ball, but ends up losing a shirt in the process to just completely muddied. Same with the pants. I believe he walked in barefoot too. I don't know for sure. But he had to jump into one of the ponds at Oak Hill to clean off, and then, of course, changed his shirt. Oh, man, I'm sorry. I would have taken the extra stroke and just tried to make up for it later. So.
Exactly. I mean.
Or let the caddy do it.
I mean, yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, Rochester definitely has some crappy. It can have some crappy weather, and you just gotta watch out for that mud. I mean,
oh man. But yeah,
so,
Tinkle on this Tom Kim. That's all I can say.
I guess you had your welcome to Rochester moment. I don't know.
I hope he got free garbage plates after. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. Shoot.
They better be trying garbage plates since they're here. Okay, I know we've seen. Oh man, Salvatore's posted that one of the golfers went over there. Come on, check out our local businesses. So, and actually, yeah, Knucklehead Craft Brewing is just posted as well. They hosted Michael Block after finishing 20th in the first round, and of course he signed a flag for him. I got to tell you, look, I want to see these PGA guys, even if you're staying after Sunday, please go to these local businesses. I love seeing these posts on Facebook about Michael Block, about Phil Mickelson. I want to see these guys at these local businesses to really amp them up. So,
right.
But with that, I'll turn things over to you so you can tell us what's coming up on No Final Bell this week.
Yeah. We had a couple big surprises with Miro and Thunder Rosa being back. We definitely had some. We have a new show coming out for AEW. AEW Saturday Night Collision is going to be a new show. It's going to be kind of like what Rampage is now. Rampage is going to be more like the Dark and Dark Elevation, where they're going to promote more of the younger talent on that show. And Collision is going to be probably the new Rampage, where we're going to see a lot of the stars you really don't see much on Dynamite being on Collision. So that is going to debut Saturday, June 17th, heading into Forbidden Door, of course. With everything that's been going on, we're getting more matches announced for Double or Nothing, so definitely keep watch on No Final Bell as we are on the road to Double or Nothing, and then also shortly on the road to Forbidden Door.
Yeah. I gotta say, though, going Saturday night's ballsy, because keep in mind, UFC does fights almost every Saturday night. So
yeah.
that's a ratings nightmare you're asking for.
Especially with it being on TNT as well, so who knows?
Yeah, so I don't know. At least from a sports marketing standpoint, I don't feel that's the way to go. But
it's only an hour, so it's like 8 to 9 every Saturday. So it's not like
so it's off before the main card begins.
Yeah.
So at least they're being smart there.
And honestly, to all these people that said that AEW was not going to amount to anything, well, you've sold 60,000 for Wembley Stadium. If it's oh so much a indie promotion, 60,000 for Wembley Stadium. That's hella awesome. I mean, it would be nice for them to sell it out, but I don't think that's going to be the case. But 60,000, I didn't think that AEW was ever going to get even anything amounted to 60,000 for a stadium in London. But yeah, they've sold over 60,000 tickets, and counting. I don't know what it's truly at, maybe 65,000. I don't know, somewhere close to over 60,000. They have 3 shows now. Looks like they have been starting to amp up the attendance for their weekly shows too, for Dynamite and Rampage. Hopefully the same thing with Collision. It kind of sucks because if I knew about Collision and them having a show literally the day before Forbidden Door in Scotiabank Arena, I probably would have been to 2 days. I would have done Collision Saturday and then also Forbidden Door Sunday, but we're just doing Marty and I are just doing Forbidden Door Sunday in Toronto. Definitely looking forward to it. Would have been cool to do the Saturday Collision show beforehand, but it's alright.
Yeah.
But other than that, what's coming up on Out of Turn 4?
It's our biggest week of the year. I mean, of course, I don't normally like to talk about the All-Star race for NASCAR, but they are back at North Wilkesboro, a track they haven't been to since 1996. And of course, for those who don't know anything about North Wilkesboro, like Jason probably doesn't, North Wilkesboro was a track that was literally a rotting area in North Wilkesboro, North Carolina there. It was literally rotted away not even 2 years ago. And they have now completely renovated it, kind of kept the historic look to it in the process, and now it is a fully functional racetrack once again. So, of course, that race will be tonight at 5 for the All-Star Showdown. All-Star race at 8 o'clock on FS1. But then we are also into Indy now. Of course, Indy qualifying was yesterday and today. And then we got... what is it? We got a lot of practices this week. We got Carb Day. We got the Pit Crew Challenges. We've also got the Indy 500 coming up on Sunday. So because of that, we'll have Out of Turn 4 at its normal time at 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday. And then Saturday night, come back, we will have a show to get you all ready for the Indy 500 as we have the last few years. I will kind of do my contender or pretender list going 33rd to 1st in the starting order. So that's all going to come up. Again, tune in Tuesday at 5 on YouTube and Facebook Watch, 5 p.m. Eastern. And then tune in at 7 p.m. Eastern on Saturday for the Indy 500 special. We'll talk all things IndyCar there. We won't talk any IndyCar on Tuesday, so you guys have a lot more to listen to on Saturday.
So, sorry to cut you off. Programming note, at least for No Final Bell, we're going to try to make sure that there's going to be a weekly episodic episode every single week, even if it means that I have to do it myself. Going forward, we're going to try to have Marty on as much as possible. Of course, our schedules, are kind of wacky, but regardless if it's Marty and I or it's just myself, we are going to have a episode every single week. I'm going to make that promise to everyone here. I really want to try to get keep it going strong. Did my first episode by myself. It kind of felt weird. Just the flow of everything.
You know how I feel now, having to do Out of Turn 4 by myself every week.
But honestly, I'm sure if I do it by myself, more consistently, I'll get a little bit of a flow, going better with everything. It just, I just think that Marty and I, the flow together is a little bit better when I'm than
Well,
when I'm
when you've done
on
80
myself.
episodes together, when you've done 80 episodes,
Right. Well, 79 episodes together.
I was
There
close.
was one time that he did it by himself when I was in Miami. So credit him for that one. So, but
Yeah,
other than that, yeah, we're gonna make sure that there's gonna be an
yeah.
episode on time
And
going.
we'll try to be on every week as well, going up till when we, of course, go on our summer break. I don't have that announced yet. We'll obviously have that soon. If, well, when we go on our summer break, like we do every year. But we do want to thank you guys for watching. Tune in to No Final Bell this week. Tune in to both episodes of Out of Turn 4 this week. And we'll see you back here next Sunday for another edition of Sunday Morning Tinkle. Till then, goodbye, everyone.